Hello and welcome to another edition of the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show, where this week we continue our coaches cut up corner with the offensive coordinator at Pinnacle High School, Matt Hanshaw. Has a great deal of experience with explosive offenses there for the Pioneers, and we're extremely excited to learn from him today. I really appreciate all the coaches we've had that are willing to come on and share their knowledge and expertise, and hopefully we can continue to get more and more guys to do that. I like doing weekly episodes, as you know. So, before we get into the topic at hand, I want to remind everybody that this show, Blue and Gold Gridiron Show, is brought to you by School Funder. School Funder, the only online fundraising company in America that lets you keep all of the money your team raises. You would never give away 20% of the wins your team earns, so why do coaches constantly give away 20% willingly of the proceeds their team brings in fundraiser? And that's a low estimate, because sometimes it's as much as 25 to 30. So call the people at School Funder at schoolfundr.org and let them know the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show sent you. And as you're doing that, please, while you're helping the show, like and subscribe. We're trying to get our subscriptions up. Our viewership has been pretty good. Coaches seem to be enjoying the content. For whatever reason, it's very difficult to get people to hit that subscribe button. It's completely free. It costs you absolutely nothing, and you get a whole bunch of content from really good coaches across Arizona, and we've had other coaches across the country. We got some other guys lined up as future guests in other states as well. So I don't understand the downside. So hit that button, share it out to other coaches, help us grow the show. We would certainly appreciate it. So, Coach, this is always, I love learning from coaches, but even more so than that, I really enjoy hearing everybody's kind of football story and their football journey, how they got to where they are at this moment and the impact the game's had on them. So you are going to tell us a little bit about your football journey.
Yes, sir. So I actually grew up in Marietta, Georgia, large suburb of Atlanta. Played high school football there. It was the coolest at the time. I graduated 2007 at the time. Played in the highest classification in the state of Georgia. Played offensive guard and center. It was the best. And then I went and played Division III football at a little school called Methodist University in Fayetteville, North Carolina. It was football. We had a really good time, and some of my best friends are guys I met at Methodist. We weren't great, but it was college football. It was the best experience. From there, I went and started my coaching and teaching journey at a small rural school in Jacksonville, North Carolina, called Southwest Onslow. That was a great experience. I got to learn under a legendary coach. His name is Phil Padgett. He's the fourth or sixth winningest head coach in the state of North Carolina. It was the best. We ran the traditional old school tee, and Coach called all of his plays off a manila folder, and it was the coolest. We were near the beach. It was the coolest experience I've ever had. I had a great time there. From there, I went and coached at a Division III college, Thomas More College in Northern Kentucky. Best experience I've ever had. Well, there's my two dogs. Best experience I've ever had. It's where I learned actually this offense, and we were great that year. I then went to a high school, Estero High School in Southwest Florida for a year. From there, I actually moved out here to Arizona. I was gonna move out here anyways for my now wife, and I was out here in June or July of 2017. Sent emails all around the valley. I'd coached and taught a little bit, and I'll be honest, the only person that replied to me was Coach Zupke at Pinnacle. And I am forever indebted to Coach Zupke. He basically, I owe everything to him. He's given me my shot and my chance. And I've been at Pinnacle 9 years now. When I first got hired on, I was JV offensive coordinator and varsity tight ends. Then I did varsity running backs. I was a JV head coach for a couple years. And then after 2020, so 21 season, coach promoted me to the offensive coordinator, and I've been lucky enough, as you know, we've had quarterbacks and receivers and offensive line, and we've been blessed to have a ton of really great kids, and led by who I believe is one of the best head coaches in the state, just with our culture and program and everything he's done for myself and for this entire community up here at Pinnacle.
I loved talking to him. I have studied a ton of his special team stuff.
Yep.
And I gotta tell you that not this year, but the fake punt he busted out against Liberty in the 2024 game is one of the best fake punts I've ever seen. At any level of football, I was like, that was filthy right there. And
it was like.
So it was, they kind of had the momentum, and it really made it so it was like a back and forth, down to the wire type of the game with one of the, Liberty's always one of the top 25 teams in the country, probably. And this year, probably no different. Lost by a field goal to Basha, and they'll be playing. And also, Coach, I've enjoyed Pinnacle does a little spring showcase, and we're really appreciative because tons of coaches travel through Pinnacle because there's tons of great players and all that. So we're really appreciative of getting to go there, and I've always enjoyed talking ball with you on those days. And one day I even got a professional day to go down there, and you guys fed me and everything else. It was a ton of fun. I did not know you were an offensive guard. That makes you even more likable. That's probably why, because you're an offensive lineman, which, as we know, is the best position in all of sports. So I am going to turn it over to you now, and you are going to walk us through. I believe you're going to talk some split zone and then your play action stuff off of split zone, which I'm excited to hear about, and any technique stuff you want to get in as well. I'm more of a gap scheme guy, don't teach the zone particularly well, so I'm really excited to learn from you, and take it away.
Perfect. Our base play in our offense is split flow zone. It is the first thing I install every year. First thing we do, it is the basis of everything we do. Again, I learned this offense and have tweaked it over 10 years, but I learned it from Thomas More College and those great coaches there, and it's what we did in 2015 at the Division III level, and I saw the success of it, and it's something that I believe defines us, and if you played us since I've been the offense coordinator there, you know you're going to get it. I actually was running the numbers yesterday. We ran it 20% of our run plays this year, so we ran the ball almost 315 times this year for a little bit over 2,000 yards, which I'll brag a little bit, was the first time in 5 years. We've increased our rushing every year, and the first time over 2,000 in my time as offensive coordinator, so that's awesome. But 20% of those plays were split flow zone for us. And we run it all out of the pistol. I call it midline zone. I know, old wing T guy, like Coach Zupke being a wing T guy or a veer guy, they're like, oh, does that mean you're reading somebody? No, I just call it because that's the path our T takes. He runs straight down the midline. He's reading the first defender on the line opposite the center. His aiming point is play side butt cheek of the center. The reason I love split flow is because it creates a natural cutback. And it kind of gives answers to our kids and to our running backs, and it lets our offensive line be right, and that is the most important thing, I think, right? I try to make it. We've got 3 schemes. We run mid zone, we run counter, we run power. And if you've played us, you know that everybody's seen it from us. And I think it's one reason our offensive line has been really successful is because they don't have to do a lot, right? They just get to maul and get off the ball and go. And we teach. So we've got off our midline zone, we've got 6 variations of how we run it and do different things, but it's all the same up front to those guys. So we can call 6 different plays with 6 different names. They're all doing the same stuff up front. Nothing changes for them. It's all either quarterback or it's an RPO or it's something different in the backfield. So this first play I'll show you, this is our bread and butter. This is our mid zone. The reason I put this play first is this is maybe the best we've run it in my 5 years as offensive coordinator. And it just happened to be against Hamilton. Hamilton's awesome. They were unbelievable this year.
Coach, I was just going to say, for any of our out-of-state people, I just want, as you're watching this film, I want you to understand that Pinnacle plays one of the top schedules in the West, on the West Coast definitely, and maybe one of the better schedules in the whole country. They play legit D1 loaded teams pretty much every single week. So as you're watching this stuff, keep that in mind.
Appreciate it. So let's see. So here's our mid zone here. We're out of a 3x1 set, tight end in the wing here. And I'll just let it run first, and we'll talk through it a little bit. We get the split coming across. hit it right up the middle. When our running back doesn't have to get off the midline, right, because we block it so well up front. So you see quarterback gets off the midline, running back goes straight up the hash. And I'll show the end zone here in just a second. Our guys do a really good job.
That's pretty.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. In 5 years, this is the best we've run it. And you'll see from the end zone here. So we get a decent slice block from my tight end. But honestly, I tell them all the time, I don't need you to crush anybody. You just got to get in the way. And you see, we do a really good job front side, so it is going left here for us. We would like to cut back. They do a good job. Everybody blocks it up well up front. We're trying to create combo blocks here. My offensive line coach, Paul Germanero. Paul's been with me 8 years now. He does a great job. He's got those guys playing for him unbelievably every week. We were lucky enough to have 4 senior offensive linemen this year. Left guard, or left tackle over. Only our right tackle was a junior. So we were very blessed. And as you can see here, so we get the slice. Nice little kick by 74, 79. Then our center and right guard double team up to the backer, 52. Our right tackle is going up to this other outside backer. And then we just get lucky.
Coach, walk me through your footwork a little bit, especially did their stemming here affect you guys anything? Because, you guys are off the ball, and it didn't even look like it phased them, which a lot of times is not correct with high school kids. They can get a little weirded out by that.
So that is the best part about our midline zone stuff we run is up front, they know they're going to get on their track, and I got Coach Germ's notes because I asked him exactly, what he puts, and it's kind of just block play side zone, eyes up to the backer if you're in your combo, and you're just on your track, and they know, if this guy was to slant over this way, the guard's coming, taking him over, so now our center's going up to the backer, and they do a pretty good job of it, and the way we script practice, and again, Coach Germ, we do such a good job, and we have a ton of walkthrough time that we'll walk through, especially a team like Hamilton or when we play Liberty or Chandler, teams that move and stunt a ton. We'll spend more walkthrough time during the week going through these stunts. Then I'll show you our backfield action too and kind of talk points about quarterback and our tailback. So our quarterback, his most important job is to get off the midline, right? So let's see if he does. He does a pretty good job here. You can see he's off the midline, and he's got a little bit of a fake there. I'd like him to have a little better fake, but he does a good job. Get off the midline. Our T, he is straight downhill, and you can see his first 2 steps are downhill. We're going on the snap, so he's hitting fast, so everything kind of times up really well here. And then, like I said earlier, our tight end coming across, he should be inside shoulder. We've got kind of a flipper clamp technique that we work on a ton, but he just gets in the way and he doesn't need a big devastating block here. So we do a pretty good job right here.
So I'm doing the math in my head, 20% of 300 or something runs. So you guys ran this 60 or so times?
I think it was like 64, 65. Yeah, so you're going to see it every game from us. I could show you if you looked at all 11 of our games, or 12. All 12 of our games, you'll see this a couple times from us every week. And then wanted to show it again. So we do these first couple clips. I've got it out of basically every formation we run it from. And that's my biggest thing is we run the same stuff and just try to be multiple formation wise, and that's really helped us. And it's been a really good thing for us these last couple years. So again, you'll see this is now 2x2 set, tight end opposite in the wing. He's coming across. This is great because the DN just runs upfield. So tight end doesn't even really have to do anything. Not great here by my left tackle, but big combo inside, left guard and center, up to the backer. When we're getting
inside.
Yeah, when we're getting, what do we get? About 5 yards up to the backer where they don't even have to come off. That's pretty good. And then right guard, right tackle do a good job backside here. So end zone again. And again, RT this year. So Gavin Hammond was our number one tailback this year. Gavin's been in the program 4 years. Tough, hard-nosed runner, awesome kid, and he was he was absolutely perfect for what we want to do in our midline zone.
Coach, let me ask you, because I know you said I'm looking at your left guard here, and this is something when we've run zone I've let the kids do, and maybe I'm wrong here, but it looks like he's stepping. You're running your zone here to the left, and it looks like he's stepping right because he's got that combo. Is that something they have the freedom to do, or is that taught, or how do you guys go about that?
Yes, it's taught, and yes, they have the freedom. So if he's, this guy in here almost in, I don't know what people call it, but a 2-eye, whatever anybody calls it now, he's almost in this 2-eye. So he's a more immediate threat than this outside guy, and we know tackle to end, these two are comboing up to 23, and then we've got combo, and then we're slice across. So, again, Coach Germ gives them the freedom, and that was one thing. So when we installed this early on, me and the offensive line coach, we really talked about it because kind of old zone or traditional wide zone, outside zone is elephants on parade. Everybody's moving left. First step's always left or right, and everybody just goes, right? But those guys did a really good job this year and again, I get it. It's 4 seniors, so they've been in it a while. They've seen it now for 4 years. They do a really good job. And left tackle, Tanner Peltier, he steps off, gets a little piece, and then gets off to the backer here. Let's see. Okay, here's a bad one. That's what I was waiting for. I wanted to show 2 really good ones to start, to be like, yeah, everything's great, right? People are going, man, look at this. This is awesome. This is why they ran. So now, one big thing we kind of shifted to this year is we were a heavy 12 personnel team. Just kind of how our guys worked out this year. We've evolved. In 22, when we had Deuce Robinson and Miles Libman and Colson Aarons, we were a heavy 10 personnel, ran and threw it around a ton. But then this year we were a heavy 12 personnel team, and it really helped us. So here we are out of I don't know what people call it now, but for us, this is 12 personnel, tight end, and then another fullback wing. So we don't do a good job here. This is where blitz gets us. We get a little bit too far on our path here. And as you can see, our center reaches back. Get a run through, not great. So here we are, right? They're talking. They're trying to figure it out. And 11 doesn't do anything that should hurt us. But, high school kids. Our center here, he's a little too worried about 7. 7 slants away. 11 fills. And now we're late to get back, and 11 does a really good job. And this was against one of the top teams in New Mexico, La Cueva. First game of the year, we went out to Albuquerque. That was really neat. But you can see quarterback get off the midline. RT has no chance. So good, bad, the ugly. Second tight end coming across. Does an okay job. Again, like a better aiming point of inside here. But not a good play.
So, Coach, would that have been the center's guy or your left guard there?
So technically it should have been the center because we would have gone combo to 33, these center, right guard up to 11, and then we've got one-on-one blocks here, and he's slicing back across.
Gotcha. So they're really strict on those combos. Sort of similar to a duo-esque type combo.
Yes, very, very similar. And again, I think, between duo and mid-zone and all this stuff, I think we're all doing the same thing, right? We're trying to get 2 bodies on one, getting up to backers at the second level. Let's see. That was kind of the same. Okay, so brag about this a little bit. This is our 2 tight end formation. I actually saw Rich Rodriguez run at Jacksonville Jacksonville State 2 or 3 years ago. We've installed it. It's become a big formation for us. Again, if you've played us, you see it. This is our big-time short yardage for us, but kind of became a base formation for us. So same rules, except second tight end now slicing across. He doesn't do a very good job. This is Chandler. Yep, Chandler's very good. They're in the open state. They're in the Open Championship this weekend. They're disciplined, right? They do everything right. And so from the end zone here, right? You can see, so we are trying to, because we're moving right, we're actually going to combo tight end, right tackle. We're going to move. This is obviously our backup center. Caden Beneteau, I got to talk about him real quick. He's 5'8", 190 pounds, right? Started against Chandler High School this year, held his own, first varsity start, did an awesome job. But then him in the right guard are comboing up to 10, then we should kind of combo up to 3 here, and then we're slicing across with our second tight end.
Coach, I was about to ask, do you guys teach the two-handed snap? Because I've done that before, or is that something that he was comfortable with, being the backup?
I feel so all of our centers kind of do their own thing. We just tell them feel-wise what they want. Caden's closer to a two-handed. Our senior starter, Carlos, was, I guess you would call, traditional snapper. But then we had to play, our big left guard had to play center. He played center one game, and he was a dead snap guy. So, and I just told the quarterbacks, I was like, you guys got to get 1,000 snaps during the week, just figuring it out, right? Because at any point, one of those 3 guys could be in there. So you see they stem late. Honestly, what kills us is we don't get a good slice here from my second tight end. 44 beats him inside, kills the play. Because if we get 44 here, right, and we're inside shoulder, there's our big run lane right there, and the cutback's there, and it's probably a pretty good play for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I'm assuming he's supposed to be inside out, make contact with that left shoulder in that case?
Yes, sir. Exactly. That's where he should be on that inside 4 here. He should be right off of my left tackle's butt. So if he's slicing, he's right off the left tackle's butt. Left tackle does a good job to avoid, just like he should. And again, if we get inside, he shields 3, and it actually turns into a really big run because we've got everything blocked play side. Let's go. So another blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Okay, just a little formation stuff. So that was all without our without our motions. So then what we'll do is we'll add a good bit of motion to it. And again, if you played us, right, you can ask Coach Thomas and Coach Guinea at Liberty. They see it. We played them every year. Chandler, Hamilton, Centennial, all those guys. They've seen it from us. We just bring it back across. And the big thing here, so this was Williamsfield, actually in the first round of the Open. But they brought double off the edge, which usually, and honestly, it'll kill our mid-zone stuff if we're not right with it. But tight end does a really good job. Then ring 2, tight end gets the inside guy. And it turns into a really good play because, again, we're straight up the midline here. We got our combos. My big left tackle gets off. He lunges a little too far, but does, again, this is a 3-year starter at left tackle for us. Mike Laufenberger, he's a stud, great kid. And so he's smart enough, right? Gets maybe a little bit outside the frame, but that's okay. And then combos all the way across, just enough of a piece of it by the tight end, and then we're up and out there for a nice little touchdown.
Yeah, your left tackle there is beautiful, man. In fact, he's athletic enough. He gets his shoulders turned, and then he squares them back up and gets a pancake on, I'm sure, a really good Williamsfield defender is good football that I appreciate very much.
Sir, yeah, that's, and you can't teach that because most of the time high school kids are in this position as an offensive lineman.
He's never getting back to 8. And he
never getting back there. So, okay, let me get to put all our motions, all our good stuff. There we go. Okay, so kind of our play action off of it. So again, this is the same look I showed earlier, right? 2x2, now with tight end wing away. So now we're going to run our base. We call it naked off of it just because we're not pulling anybody. And we're going to have the same slice, so we actually run it with a jet here. At motion, our tight end would normally slice across. We do a good job. Okay, we get out in the flat, easiest thing. And the big thing here, so everything in the backfield's the same for quarterback and our T. Quarterback's getting off the midline, and as soon as he fakes it to our tailback there, he is getting out, getting depth, and getting his eyes to our first flat here.
Coach, I see these teams run this on Saturday, and this is so great because I could probably complete this pass.
Yeah, right?
My question is this a read of any kind, or is this automatic play action? Or
it is automatic play action for us. we will call it. And we call it naked. We do have some read RPO stuff where we'll throw a glance or maybe a hitch or something else, but this is absolutely play action for us because our offensive line is all blocking down play side, so they're all away, and it looks like they're getting out of there. They're just slow, so they're not climbing. You can see they do a really good job there. And our big teaching point with our offensive line is they gotta have low hat. They gotta come off the ball because it's gotta look like a run. Too many times, kids will, especially, and it's happened for us a lot, and this has been a big teaching point for us the last year or two. But they're like, oh, play action, and they pass set. Well, that defeats all the purpose of the run action. So you can see, and this is a really good rep by our 5 guys. This looks just like a run, right? They're all low hat. They're all firing out. It looks like they're doing what we've done 4 or 5 times in this game against South Point. Motion did a really good job there with, taking away a safety. And then quarterback's got the easiest read. And I always tell them, eyes around. Quarterback does a good job. Throw the flat, throw the flat, throw the flat. That is our number one. We're going to it. And then, our big tight end makes a good move here. But that is our bread and butter.
That's pretty football, Coach. And I've heard so many good coaches say a good fake is worth 2 blocks. And that plays a perfect example because this Jet guy, he took 2 guys with him to the party. 7 eventually, or whoever that is coming across eventually figures it out. But it's too late at that point.
Yep. So he does a really good job. And our quarterbacks, and the biggest thing, you can see how he sticks the ball in there. This is actually Antonio, one of our other quarterbacks, but he sticks the ball in there. Okay, he does a really good job. So, again, it looks like the run action. Offensive line's giving run action. Quarterback and T look like the run action. If you're a defensive end, you see the slice coming across like, oh, man, not again. Please stop with this dude coming across. So, yeah.
And you said you guys have just emphasized that with the O-line because the pad level here is really good. It does look very much run-esque. Is that something just through your emphasis you've gotten them to do? Because that's a lot easier said than done.
It is, and it's been 5 years in the work. I mean, if you look at us from 21, 22, 23, we pop up and it looks like a pass, and I don't believe it's as good of a fake, and it doesn't give us the run look that we want. But this is every time. So we do a screen and play action drill every day. And the offensive line's out there with us, and every time during the play action portion, they are firing out. And I'm like, it's just got to look like a run. Because I tell them all the time, if it looks like a run and that means you come off and you block a guy 5 yards down the field and they call a penalty on you, I can live with that, right? That's aggressive, being a good football player, and it is what it is. It's just when you pop up, you defeat the whole purpose of the run play action here. Okay, here was one out of another look. So this is South Point as well. Oh, okay. This is good. So we get to kind of a traditional, we're still in 12, but put kind of the fullback next to the quarterback. Here's our fake again. So we got fullback in the flat, over, big over, and we actually go to our second tight end here because we've got comeback here to the boot side. Again, pretty good run action. It's later in the game, so offensive line isn't as low as they were before, but the big part here is you can see my right guard and right tackle, they are moving left, so it, again, looks like that same run action. Nice little over, and that was our big emphasis to the quarterbacks was I'm always number one to the flat, but we have got to get to the over when the flat, and they do a good job here, right? They take away, they've got outside backer and safety coming down to take away the flat. The referee helps us with a little pick here on number 7, but we throw the over to our tight end. Nice little scramble, craziness. Another one. So out of 12 personnel again, kind of a pro-style ace formation, whatever you want to call it. But the same run action. And we've got flat, just chip flat, but then we've got our over again. And then you can see our over. Quarterback does a really good job of getting to the flat. Valley Vista does a good job, and then we throw the over.
Coach, I'm assuming your first tight end in the flat is kind of improvising here, getting too deep. Is that something?
Yes, he should 1,000% just be running to the sideline and running to the front of the end zone.
Because even if he gets covered, it's opening up the over.
Correct. This is a good one. So, not a good one, but this is one. When we go three by, route combo changes a little, but we've still got the flat. A big thing, though, to a quarterback here, right, is we preach to our quarterbacks patience because, as you can kind of see here, he's a little fast with his fake, right? And I tell him all the time, I know there's big, scary D linemen coming, but we have got to be patient here, right? Stick it in the belly of the tailback, then get out. And this ball's got to be to the flat right now, right? He's got to throw this ball, let our tight end get out there and wiggle around and maybe get, 5, 6, 7 yards or make a guy miss. But he's a little late to it here. Great open field tackle. I think this was Mountain Ridge. Great open field tackle by the Mountain Ridge defender right here. But if ball's out there a little earlier, I think it's a little bit better for us.
Coach, let me ask you, because we had a little bit of trouble, and I was like joking with some of our guys, is like our slit player, I was like, it's like you have a magnet to the defensive end. And you are just going to find a way to run into this guy.
Yeah.
You're trying to slip him and get into the flat. Like, is there a coaching point you can give me or something? Because I didn't do it well, obviously.
So I'll be honest, it's probably not a good coaching point. I just tell our tight end, easiest way to the flat for you. So whether that's avoid inside or outside of him, this naked, I don't want him. It's not a chip and release kind of play. It is. So I just tell him easiest release for him. Okay, I know it's not the greatest. Someone may have more technical, but wherever, like you said, wherever he's not making contact with that guy, and I know it puts him a little bit in the backfield, and so probably should have slipped over top of the defender, but don't have a great answer for it. He still gets into the play. I was just saying,
because there it looked like he could have slipped inside and maybe hidden a little better.
He could have, but that's where I think sometimes, and I do it all the time, is where we can get too technical, sometimes, especially with our guys. And that's why I've learned over the years, and especially in my 5 years as offensive coordinator, the less I give them and just be like, make the best play you can, do the best you. And I think that's really helped our guys because they don't feel this like, oh no, if I don't go exactly right this way or do this exact thing, then, I'm going to get yelled at.
Coach, have you seen more of this 3 safety deal Mountain Ridge is doing here?
We have. So it was super popular. It was the 22 season that we went to the 6A state title. We ended up playing Highland twice. They were 3 high safety look. Liberty 3 high safety look that year. So I feel like maybe was Chandler 3 high, but yeah, I feel like I feel like it's a predominantly 6A defense. I feel like a ton, because we do it too. We shifted probably 3 years ago, and we're 3 high safety we play 5 DBs, and our safeties, our third safeties running around. But I feel that a ton of teams, especially in 6A, do it, and we see it a lot.
I was going to ask you that because is that because of so much spread stuff, you think, or what is the reasoning? Because in the 4A level, I think this is interesting because in 6A, everybody I watch is running a lot of spread stuff. We will still see some wing T. We'll still see some double wing. We used to jokingly refer to it as the child abuse offense with the no splits, and you're bashing people. Is because it's so spread, takeaway type of thing? Or what is the reasoning behind that, you think?
I 100% agree with you there. I believe, and you watch us and you watch 6A games, you're right. We are all running spread offenses, and we're, whether we're in pistol or we're offset or empty or whatever it may be, we're all pretty much running spread offense, right? And it wasn't, it used to be, there was one wing T in 6A when Brian Cole was the head coach at Sandra Day. And that would give us fits, right? Because we never see it, and then in 1 week you got to prepare for the wing team.
And you got to have your scout kids running it, which is
correct, and that's the toughest part in the world.
Yeah.
And that's like, so when we play Williams Field is they're a big I team, and they're more, they run it downhill and they do a really good job. And for our guys, that's tough because one, we don't take snaps under center. So our quarterback's got to, I think, so in my 5 years, I bet you we haven't taken 20 total snaps under center in my 5 years as offensive coordinator. And when we go to those weeks, I'm like, okay, quarterbacks, here you go, fellas,
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think it's all because of spread offenses, and we see it, and teams do a really good job with it, and it honestly creates a very muddy picture for the quarterback, right? And that's what it does a really good job of, because QB's going, okay, awesome, there's 6 men in the box. Oh no, but there's 5 DBs. So when there's a pass call, they're like, oh, there's no open space, there's no easy throw. So let's go to, okay, here was a good one, getting us to the over. So we've got a little quick motion out to the flat. Sal Point does a really good job here. They come off the edge. We don't do a great job, but quarterback does a really good job of getting his shoulders turned and we actually get to the over here. Do a really good job.
That's a heck of a throw for a righty too.
Yeah, and that's kind of, we do ask a lot of our quarterbacks. I know I do know plenty of coaches, and I've seen it coaching in the South and kind of being all over where, and it's easier for high school kids to only go to their dominant side, but we ask a lot of our quarterbacks to be able to boot left and boot right and do a lot. Let's see if I've got him yeah. So you can see he does a really good job getting it to the over here. They take away the flat. They take away our boot side comeback, and then over gets right there.
That's a heck of a throw.
Yeah, that was a really good throw.
I love the way you guys dressed it up out of this little bunch when you got that, a lot of people call it cheat motion, where this guy heads outside here.
Yep. Yeah, and we tried, so this was actually our 6A quarterfinal game. And, it's really tough, as playing a team twice. And we played them twice in 3 weeks. And South Point's a really, really good football team, really well coached, really good. This number 0 for South Point. I still have nightmares about him. He was a really, really good football player. And they do a good job. So we had to do something a little bit different. We've got this kind of condensed look with a tight end out of 11 personnel. Get our motion out of here, get somebody else out of the box, and that kind of opens up our over a little bit.
We benefited from that a couple of years ago. Bradshaw beat us in week 9 for the region title, and then we drew him in week 1 of the playoffs 2 weeks later. And Coach Young was not happy at all, because it's hard to beat a good team 2 times in 3 weeks. It's really difficult.
Really, really is.
And no matter what, the team that won, it just doesn't feel like they're as motivated. They're not.
Agreed.
Those guys that just got beat are like, we're gonna go beat these guys this time.
Yep. Especially, I'll give South Point all the credit, especially when they know they got to get on a bus, travel 2 hours, come up to North Phoenix, and they do a really good job. I'm trying to find. I think that's about it, Coach, because then I just got a bunch of the same play. It's all of our midline zone, split flow, and split flow naked.
Coach, that was absolutely outstanding. The film was great, and I appreciate your time. While I have you, let me ask you one other question. You were talking about kind of dressing things up formationally and personnel. I'm going to ask you 2 questions, actually. How many personnel – I'm going to ask you 3 questions, so I'm sorry. How many personnel packages do you guys carry?
So, maybe surprised, but we only carry 3 into a week. We go 10, 11, 12. Now, when we go to 11 and 12, our tight end can also line up in fullback, line up out wide, but we only carry 3.
Okay, I think that's plenty. I think.
Yeah.
Do you have anything specific goal line? You running mostly 12 personnel when you get down there inside the 10?
We do a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Kind of just depending on the week. Yeah, because we've done it, that big 12 personnel where we'll just kind of ram the ball down and, try and hit our face on the goalpost. And then other times we'll be spread a little bit. If we're sometimes empty as well, but it just kind of depends. We run a little bit of everything.
The thing that I always really enjoy asking people is how many plays do you carry into a game plan? And is it evolving as the game goes on, tweak wise? Because like a lot of times we'll have, and I've seen Noel Mazzoni say that he carries 35, 40 plays, and I'm not talking about different plays. I'm talking about 6 different ways to run split zone or whatever.
Yeah.
But how many distinct ways do you carry into a game plan? Do you think?
So like I said earlier, we've got 6 different ways to run our midline zone. So we probably carry 3 or 4 of those a week. Then we run power 3 different ways, and we'll carry usually just one way, but maybe 2 or 3. And then our counter will carry 2 or 3 different ways that we run in the week. But it's honestly, it's all stuff that's in our base offense that you could say that we install in January and that we put in, that the kids, if we had to, and I don't know, a natural disaster happened and we just had to show up and play, like our guys could run midline zone, power, and counter. It looks like a lot, but we don't carry a lot into a week, honestly. And then we've got a big pass game, but then we condense it down pretty good during the week.
That was going to be my question too, is how many pass concepts do you think you carry?
We probably carry maybe 10.
Okay.
Maybe 10 concepts a week.
Is that quick game drop back?
Variety, yeah. It's usually, so I've got a quick game that everybody runs, that empty with juke in the middle. That's kind of our number one. We'll carry that. We'll carry a couple more quick game, then about 5 or 6 drop back. And now where I will say what we carry the most in every week is our play action and screen game. So my receiver coach and quarterback coach does our pass game. Me and the offensive line coach do our run game, but then I do our screen and our play action game. And that's something where we try to really, really get an advantage for us every week. So it might be a detriment to us because we may carry too much, but we carry, it's at least 8 screens and 8 play actions a week against everybody.
That is quite a load for people to prepare for, definitely.
Yeah.
Coach, like I said, I appreciate your time. I don't want to take up too much of it. I swear to you, last question, because one of the things it's been interesting for me to see in the 4A and 3A level a lot, and I think it's probably because you see more 2A players, you don't see as much movement, stemming, and all that. You see some of it, and definitely some teams that get exotic in their blitz game, but not as much as you see in 6A. You talked about dressing things up formationally and different things. As far as odd, even front, are there certain things, for example, you're playing an odd front team, are you going to be more 3x1 sets, more your tray, your trips? Or what are some things you're looking for in your game plan-wise that way?
So that's a good question. So honestly, I don't know that it doesn't affect a whole lot, especially our mid-zone stuff. Whether it's odd or even, we're going to find a way to block it because that's kind of, I told our offensive line coach, this is the play I want, and this is what we want to see, and this is what we run really well. Now, you know a little bit better too. When we get into our gap scheme stuff, our counter and our power, we'll carry less or more depending on even or odd front, but I may be totally off and maybe different than other people, but I just don't. Yeah, I'm concerned about the box and the structure and everything, but my philosophy and kind of what we've done at Pinnacle is it's about us, and about what we do. So yeah, I'm concerned about 3-man front and 4-man front, but we're gonna run what we run, against everybody, and it's gonna be out of 10, 11, and 12 personnel every week.
Coach, I lied. I got one last one, and it'll be a quick one, I promise. But anytime I got good coaches on, I want to talk.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
So if you got to go, I understand. But
all good.
Last one is when you're looking at putting together your game plan. Do you have like a list of certain ways to get guys the ball? A. And B, what is the data? This is one I've asked a bunch of coaches. What's the data that means the most to you? There's some guys that are big on all of it. Like my uncle was with Scooter Molander for a long time, and he was always, what do they like on 3rd and 6? And in 6A, I could really understand looking at that data. I will tell you, at the 4A level, there's a lot of times I go, the most important data for me is how they align to formations, because there's a lot of times I'll see it, for example, an offensive team, their best play on 3rd and 7 is their best run play. And not so much in 6A. I think you see more of that college level stuff in Arizona, but what is the data that you find the most valuable?
For us, so I think it's big down. We are a big down and distance kind of analytics team, and that's so we go just practice structure during the week. We'll go base downs one day, then 3rd downs another day, then our last day is red zone goal line stuff. So for us, it's all we are charting in big data analysis on base downs, 1st and 2nd, and then 3rd downs, and trying to get every look that we can see during the week.
Was it more based on down and distance than the formation for you guys?
Yeah, I would say it probably is. It's probably more down and distance. Because then that'll correlate to formation. There's some teams and some defenses that do, a couple years ago we played ALA Queen Creek and they were awesome. And if it was 1st or 2nd and like medium, or not 1st and medium, but like 1st and 10, 2nd and medium, they were bringing 7 guys every time, right? Because they wanted to get you off schedule early. And it really, really bothered us. I think that was 23. Really, really bothered us, and we didn't have an answer protection-wise, honestly. And it led to us making up a new protection after that week to try to figure out how to handle early pressure and because we don't keep the back in our protection. He's always out in a route. So we kind of had to figure things out, and I think it's more down and distance for us, and that's what we've been heavy relying on.
That's interesting because I watched them, and I was like, man, they are coming from everywhere. And
everywhere.
I was just watching it as a fan, not from a coaching point of view, and it didn't strike me that it was a 1st down type of thing, but that's interesting you say that. So, all right, Coach, I promise I'll stop taking your time, but just want to say again how much I appreciate you joining us, and learned a ton, thought it was all great stuff, and I look forward to seeing you in the spring, and I know Pinnacle will continue to be one of the top programs in Arizona and the West Coast. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another edition of the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show.